scary to even send your kids to school these days. Hey guys, we just got in from church and church was amazing as always, but today was just a little different. It hit so differently. It was actually pretty sad. Something has to be said and something has to be done with this. And I know that YouTube guidelines are very sensitive to this topic, so I will try to tread lightly as I can. So last week we experienced a tragedy here when a young man brought a firearm into a school and opened fire. And this hit so differently for us. And I know we see this all the time. It's happening over the last, 10 years or so. We've seen this often on the news. But this school was very dear to my heart as it's my alma mater. Back in our day, we just didn't resort to guns. If people had a disagreement, you fought it out. Okay, not condoning that at all, but that's how it was done. Okay, you would go to ISS, in school suspension, for those who are not aware, or you'd be suspended, go home. But now in this day and age, it's just GV, which I'll use that, so you know what I'm referring to, and it's really sad. So today in church, our bishop prayed over just this whole school and the principal actually who attends our church too. It was just so sad. And I think there's so many things that need to be changed here. And I can go on and on, but again, I'm going to tread lightly. Mental health is real, people. I think a lot of people just say, no, that's a bad child. It's all about how they were raised and, the environment around them and that kind of thing. But when come to find out, this guy, oh my goodness, this young man, it was so much that was revealed. It was just sad. But an innocent 16-year-old girl was laid to rest here in our town yesterday. And all that can be done, this school really slipped. They dropped the ball big time. So much so that parents were not notified until 48 minutes after it occurred. And now, instead of focusing on the real issue, they are trying to take cell phones out of classrooms. Kids that cannot bring phones into classrooms. The only reason that this horrible tragedy got out was through children calling or texting their parents on their cell phones. It took 48 minutes for the school to release some type of communication to the parents or caregivers. They were pissed, and I would be too. I'm just saying it. I would be so mad. So you're hearing this stuff. They are getting this news from Facebook, y'all. Facebook. This is how parents were finding out what happened at this school. They had detectors, metal detectors, supposedly in this school. I remember a few years ago where this school was one of the largest schools, over 2,000 students. They had the metal detectors in the school, but they were not activated. Can somebody make that make sense to me? But you want to take their cell phones from them, which is really the only saving grace on that day for those students. They were able to call their parents and tell them what's going on. There were substitute teachers here who had no clue of policies. They were clueless. So from some students' interviews outside of school when the police were there and the media, and they explained to pretty much where they were looking for direction from the educator, which in this case, it was several substitutes in this school, 2,000 students, again, over 2,000 students, 41 different languages in this school, 41. So their excuse was they had to find the translators to pretty much notify the families of these children, but at the same time trying to get them out safely and make sure that person was detained. It's so sad. It's sad. And we got to do better, period, people. And I know this happens all over. It's been happening for years, but when it's that close to you, it hits different, My heart just goes out to that family. My prayers go out to the both families. They both lost children, you know. It's a lot. When you look back and reflect on this, going back to church service, and our bishop called all of the students, any of them that went to this high school, up, and it was so many in our congregation, and it was so emotional. I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. The principal, we know that she's about to get all kind of backlash. So we prayed over her at church and everything. It was really a beautiful service, but it should not have come to this. It should not have come to this. And what makes it worse is this young man who carried out this act. Come to find out, he has been in trouble with the school for years, since he started there. I don't know what year he is there in the school, but they found all kind of documents. I mean, it was a 300-page journal of who he idolized. So pretty much a copycat. But it was, I can't even go into detail here because of YouTube guidelines, but it was just horrific, and it was so disturbing. It was so disturbing on so many levels, guys. We have to do better. We got to do better. This young lady was going to school, excellent student, never been in trouble, and we don't know everything about it, but it appears to be that was planned. It was horrible. This is the problem I have with the schools here, and this comes from the top down. It always does. When you take prayer out of schools, it becomes a major issue. Prayer changes things. I know I'm going to get comments in this comment section, so let's keep it cute, okay? I do not want any kind of hatred here. We're all positive here in this environment. If I see it, it's just a simple delete, block, whatever. I'm all for that here. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. You know, I have to do that a little bit now just to be careful with guidelines. But I shoot straight. I am a very factual person, so I'm not getting out here talking about, you know, what could have happened. We know what happened, and it happened less than 20 miles from us. It's sad. We got to do better, people. It has become so common, it's just sad. My husband and I have no children. And my story will come on that. But it's scary to even send your kids to school these days. You send them off thinking that's a safe place while we go on to work and do whatever. They're in school learning, keyword learning. But instead, we have to see this mess on the news. This is becoming way too prevalent in these communities, guys. We got to do something to change it. It's pitiful. And just to think that you're trying to remove these from classrooms, I don't see that. This is their only outlet. No one, the substitute teachers had no idea. They weren't trained. So now they're implementing these kind of procedures. They should have been trained, though, because I used to substitute when I was in grad school. And so I know, I think a lot of times people just don't pay attention, you know, and they don't think it could ever happen to them. Well, it happened here. We see it in every other state, but we didn't see it just right around the corner. You know, but God is in control. We have to continue to pray. When you eliminate God in schools, eliminate God, period. It's a recipe for disaster. This kind of stuff, violence like this, unnecessary, unwarranted violence, it's like got to go. It's no room here for that. And unfortunately, we know it's going to get worse. It starts at the top, and nothing's being done about it. Y'all, please pray for these families, for both families, because 2 students were killed and several hurt. This is the day and age we live, and we've got to change this.